Stay tuned. Ahead, I'll talk with Glenn Boozan about There Are Dads Way Worse Than You, Unimpeachable Evidence of Your Excellence as a Father. Hi, I'm Dan Skinner, and this is Some Books Considered. Glenn Boozan is an Emmy-nominated comedy writer and New York Times bestselling author. Her credits include writing for Conan, Sarah Silverman, The Onion, Comedy Central, and MTV. She joins us to talk about There Are Dads Way Worse Than You. It's a follow-up to her best-selling There Are Moms Way Worse Than You. Glenn, welcome to Some Books Considered.
Thank you so much for having me.
So this is a follow-up to the book about worse mothers than you. What was the inspiration behind these books?
So it was during COVID lockdown, and my sister, who is now a mom of two, she had her new daughter, toddler, and was pregnant with her second. She was very stressed out. And we were hanging out one day, and she was sort of having a mom spiral. Am I feeding my daughter the right things? Am I socializing her enough? All the things that parents worry about when they have a young kid. And from my perspective, my sister is the greatest mom in the world. My niece's favorite food is radishes, and her favorite activity is reading. So she's doing a really good job as a parent. So I said to my sister, I said, Alex, hamster moms eat their babies. You're doing okay. And she felt better. She sort of laughed. And then I wrote that sentiment. I found more animals in the world that had bad mothering practices. And I put those together as a Mother's Day card for her. And then that card eventually became a book. And then I ended up, instead of giving the card to my sister, I ended up being able to give a book to my sister for Mother's Day the next year, which was really cool.
And at the end of that book, you do give fathers some time as well. But in this one, you dedicate most of the book to fathers. So tell us about this book.
Yes. So this book, it's called There Are Dads Way Worse Than You. And it is a compendium of terrible dads in pop culture and history to make you, the human real life dad, feel better about any sort of parenting foibles that you might encounter. So both of these books, The Mom's Way Worse and Dad's Way Worse Than You, are meant to combat and alleviate the pressure that especially modern day parents feel in this ever increasingly chaotic and pressurized world of being a good parent.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because, yes, the book is funny, but there's an underlying message that's more serious, and a message, as you point out, a lot of people need to hear.
Yes, I say it's sort of like the pill and the peanut butter. You put a pill in peanut butter to feed it to a dog. So like the comedy is the peanut butter, and the beautiful illustrations by Priscilla Whitty. I mean, she's fantastic. She did both books. That's kind of the fun flavor. And then the pill, or the emotional importance to me, is the message of the book, which at the end of both books, there is an ask of the reader to maybe be a little nicer to yourselves. So if you pick up your kid late from soccer practice, or if you, miss an oboe recital, if it's not the end of the world. And especially in this modern day of parenting, which, through social media and, now parents are getting so much more involved with their kids, and there's so many things you can buy on Amazon to make your kid's life easier. And you play them Mozart in the womb and they'll go to Harvard. It's all this modern day pressure. My goal is to make parents feel better about themselves at the end of the day.
Do you have a copy of the book, Candy?
I do, yes.
Could you read a small portion of it for us, just to give people a taste of what's here in the book?
Sure, yes. Congratulations, Daddy-O. Welcome to the club. Who knew that it was possible to feel this kind of love? As days go by, with pride and awe, you watch your child grow. Fatherhood, it's so dang good, you'll shout for all to know. Then, as if by magic, comes a whisper in your ear. It creeps up slow, then it grips you tight, that specter we call fear. What if I'm not meant for this, you might begin to think. What if I try this dad stuff and I completely stink? I can't explain how taxes work or how to cook a steak. I don't know facts from World War II or when to check your brakes. I've never built a treehouse. I haven't even tried. What if my kids need something I simply can't provide? And though, of course, you will mess up, remember, this is true. When put into perspective, there are dads way worse than you. You can't be worse than Thanos, you know, the purple guy. He pushed his daughter off a cliff. So yeah, you're doing fine. What if at a barbecue, your grill dad skills are green? As long as what you're cooking isn't methamphetamine. Oops, forgot their bath time? Mess up a midday snack? Better than a cauterizing lightsaber attack.
So you mentioned in what you just read a couple of the bad dads that you feature in the book. What are some of the others that make an appearance?
One of my favorites is actually, I didn't know about him before I wrote the book. And in my research, I found out, so you know King Tut, right? Famously of King Tut's tomb. So his dad was the most hated pharaoh of all time, apparently. And King Tut, when he grew up and when his dad died and was no longer king, actually changed his name because he was so embarrassed to be the son of this guy. So King Tut's name was not King Tutankhamun. It was King Tutankhamun. Oh gosh, what was his original name? King Tutankhaten, I think it was originally. So all of history changed very dramatically because one dad was not so great. So that was my favorite one that I discovered when writing the book.
I'm talking with Glenn Boozan about There Are Dads Way Worse Than You, Unimpeachable Evidence of Your Excellence as a Father. And our conversation continues in a moment. If you're enjoying this discussion, please subscribe, like, and click on the bell so you'll know when I post new interviews. And thank you. And in the appendix to the book, you go into more detail about each of those dads that you feature in the verses.
Yes, that was also, as a writer, the research part of this was extremely fun for me. It sounds very nerdy, but I loved it. And so there's a lot more context given to these and a lot more grace given to these bad dads in the appendix. I give myself a little more time to talk about, for example, on the cover, Darth Vader, people would say, yeah, he's a bad dad. But if you go into it really psychologically, he was sort of trying to protect his family for a lot of those movies. So he was attempting to be a good dad, but it can be a nicer interpretation of his flaws could be, well, he was trying his best. So I give the dads a little bit more grace and historical context for some of them, like King Midas and the Pharaoh, Tutankhamun's dad. So hopefully that's fun for people who like history and pop culture stuff.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from people who have read the book?
The feedback has been really nice. A couple dads in my life said that they read it and they teared up at the end, which was a badge of honor as a writer. If people say that your work moves them. And also kind of nice because it's a comedy book, essentially. So to have dads get a little choked up at the end I was like, I gotcha. But yeah, feedback has been really good. I love, it's a book for dads with a sense of humor, I will say, as is the mom's one. So when your book finds its audience for dads who are like, oh, this is totally my jam. Like I love pop culture and nerd stuff and history and also comedy. And so when the right dads find this book, it's really special.
I want to talk a little bit more about the illustrations in this book, because it's kind of like a picture book for adults.
Yes.
Which I really enjoyed. Tell us a bit more about the illustrator and what you were trying to accomplish by this book being illustrated in the way it is.
Yes. So from the outset, I wanted the illustrations to be a little more flat and colorful, sort of like you were saying, a kid's book. I call it sort of a kid's book for adults. This is sometimes how I refer to it, because sometimes the subject matter is a little grisly or especially with the mom's book with all the animals, eating their babies. And, with the dad's book, you have on the cover a dismembered hand. So I wanted the illustrations to be bright and sunny as a compliment to how grisly sometimes the subject matter can be. So we we actually found Priscilla Whitty, who has done both books. She is incredible. Also just a really good person. So it was very easy to work with her. And she originally is a muralist. So she does a ton of murals in all around Los Angeles. And she's also flown out to, Dubai sometimes to make a mural for the prince of whatever country. She's very, very successful and great at what she does. But so that mural sort of style, the sort of big, bright colors is what we were looking for. And she just fit like a glove. Absolutely the perfect match for us. And the illustrations are, my favorite part. And I wrote the dang thing. So.
So you've covered moms and dads. Where do you go next?
Oh, gosh. There are radio hosts way worse than you. Is there an audience for that?
I say you could do brothers and sisters and, if you want to stick with the family.
Yeah, we're sort of actively trying to figure out maybe what the next steps for this series is. I was thinking maybe, hey, if your listeners have any ideas, send them my way. Happy for suggestions.
The book is There Are Dads Way Worse Than You: Unimpeachable Evidence of Your Excellence as a Father by Glenn Boozan. Glenn, thank you for talking with me today.
Thank you so much. This was quite an honor.
If you'd like to purchase There Are Dads Way Worse Than You, I've placed a link for you in the description below. And if you'd like to see more videos about books and their authors on a wide variety of topics, be sure to subscribe, like, and click on the bell to be notified about future programs. I'm Dan Skinner. Thank you for watching this edition of Some Books Considered.